Good morning. My name is Karina Bissett, and I'm with St. Martin's University at the Career Center. So thank you for being here with us today. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves to our students, that would be wonderful.
Thank you. Thanks for having us here this morning and providing us with this opportunity to video conference. My name is Lori Leadis, and I'm the recruitment coordinator for Clover Park School District.
My name is Oumar Diallo. I'm with Clover Park School District, and I'm the recruitment specialist.
Yes, and so we're excited to be videoing and getting the chance to tell you about Clover Park. We're in Pierce County, just south of Tacoma, and so we're a suburb of Tacoma. We're a medium-sized school district. We have about 13,000 students, and then just shy of 2,000 employees. So we're kind of, we're not an expansive property or area. So one of the things I think that makes that great about us is our diversity that we have in our district is really enmeshed throughout our district because we're not so spread out. And being a medium-sized district, we get to offer our students a lot of cool resources, but still kind of have that small town feel and feel really connected through like our central offices and throughout all of our schools. We serve Lakewood and Joint Base Lewis McChord. Like I mentioned, we are a very diverse district. We are considered urban, even though we're a suburb. And we, I just want to let everyone know, I don't really know where to look. So
That's okay.
If you're watching this video, please know I'm trying to look in the eyes. So we are very diverse. We're urban, we're a title district. Our student population is very diverse. We're about 34% Hispanic students, around 30% white Caucasian students, and then just very diverse otherwise with 15% multiple ethnicities, and Pacific Islander, American Native. We have over 45 languages spoken in the homes of our students. So, you know, when you drive through Lakewood, you wouldn't necessarily think, oh, this is a really diverse neighborhood or a little town. But when you go into our school, our diversities really shine, and we're really proud of it, and we like to honor it. And so we also have, along with that diversity, we have the military influence. So I just feel like we kind of have a lot of layers of diversity between ethnicities, the military impact. We offer services in ELL and special education and all those kind of pieces. So and like I said, because we're not expansive, we're all together all the time. We're just really enmeshed and working together and creating that safe space and bringing everyone together to help students achieve equitably. So let me check my notes, make sure I told you everything I wanted. Did you want to add anything to the?
No, I think you touched base on everything.
Okay.
Perfect. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So I think the first question that we have is, can you tell us a little bit about your normal, like what is your normal recruiting, hiring schedule or process that would be helpful for students to know?
Okay, I will go ahead and talk about it. So we are accepting application right now for the school year of 2020-2021. And we'll be offering interviews via phone or video conferencing by Zoom or probably Skype, but we are still working on to see which direction we're going to take. So it's still a work in progress right now. And it's also recommended for hire job offers made pending phone references and upon completion of satisfactory references checks. Your file is passed to one of our HR specialists. So once we hand your file to one of our HR specialists, they will guide you with the next step of the hiring process. So
yeah.
And yeah, like I said, we are accepting applications for all positions right now. And most of our bulk hiring is going to be from elementary education because we have 16 elementary schools and we have 6 of them on base. So
okay.
Yeah. Oh yes, thanks for bringing that up. That is something I forgot to mention. So we are medium. So we have 2 high schools,
Okay.
And we have a 6 through 12 school. We have 4 middle schools, and then like Oumar mentioned, we have the 16 elementaries. And 6 of those are on the elementary are on Joint Base Lewis McChord. So
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
so we do anticipate a lot of hiring, and we are actually trying, like Oumar mentioned, to do some hiring now, and so that's why we're hoping people will apply, and then we can once we get things kind of settled here in the district, we can start doing some Zoom interviews or phone interviews as well.
Wonderful. Okay, that's good for students to know.
Yes, yes, we're ready to hire.
Good. So the next question we have, what are the qualities you most look for in your new hires?
Okay, and now we'll go ahead and talk about this. So we are looking for collaborative, high interest in students, open to feedback, and equitable result for all students and lifelong learners. And
Yeah.
do you have anything you're gonna add on there?
Sure. No, I think that's a good summary of kind of the big picture qualities that we're looking for. We know that students are coming from great programs and have a really good base knowledge of educating students. And so in Clover Park, we're very collaborative. We use the PLC model, and we really are looking at each student as an individual. And so we really, in those PLCs and with even bigger, whatever resources are needed, whether it's the principal, whatever, we really all come together to come up with unique solutions for each student. So being collaborative, being open to feedback, being an active participant in those conversations is definitely what, quality that we're looking for.
Wonderful. Thank you. So the next question we have, so what do you look for in application materials in terms of, resumes, cover letters, anything that you would have advice for students who are applying?
Okay. So when thinking about your application, I think as an educator, you really have to, I think, I always like to share that there's like two sets of eyes on your application. So there's HR and what we look for, and then there's the principal or the hiring administrator and what they're looking for. So in HR, I think we are looking for some of the same things that a principal is looking for, but we're also looking for HR stuff, right? So is this person qualified? What's their certificate and those kind of things. So we do have a few specifics that we'd like to share with you about what HR is looking for. And then we can kind of touch on what principals are looking for, but even we have, 23, we have over 23 principals, right? They're all looking, they all have communities, they all have schools and communities, so they're looking, some may be looking for fit, some may be looking to diversify their team, in different skill areas. So, I just kind of to bear that in mind. Well, let me refer to my notes here. Okay, so in general, we're looking for a professional, right? So, the fonts, aren't too fancy or, frilly, just, kind of a nice professional font. There has been a trend, used to be like only one page, but I think two-sided is okay, especially to kind of fit in all the pieces. I think through the resume, it's more of an introduction of yourself. I know that's what the cover letter is supposed to be, but I think resumes get more attention sometimes. So
if you have 2 pages, I'll just say make sure your names are on both pages. Like you can create a header, so you have page 1 and page 2, and then the name included on both pages. So that would be good.
Yeah.
To keep in mind.
Yeah. If it's not two-sided or more than 2 pages. And then for an HR. The first thing we're looking for is the certificate information. So having a really, even like a section on a resume dedicated to here's where I am in my certificate area. Sometimes people will put their major, which doesn't always necessarily tell us what your endorsement is going to be. So if it's a major in literature, I don't know, that could be elementary ed, it could be English, it could be, so it's okay to list your major, but really to clearly, this is my certificate is going to be elementary ed, math, social studies, or whatever. And then I think in that section, you could also include things about like where you are with your testing. My West E is, I completed it and I passed it, or my Ed TPA, I'll be submitting it, and this is when I expect results. It doesn't have to be done, but it just does help us to know this is where someone is with their certificate. It's definitely not a deal breaker. We help people through getting their certificate all the time, and we know people are still wrapping up, right? We're at March. People aren't even graduated yet, so we're used to working with that situation.
And to add more on what I was saying, you don't have to wait till you get your endorsement for you to start applying.
Right.
Like she said, just be more specific. You can just let us know when you anticipate graduating and she's supposed to be graduating in June 2020, just say, hey, I'm graduating June 2020, because we know most teachers kind of get their certificate prior to school starting. So don't let it deter you from starting to apply now. So
Yes, don't. Good.
so
That's
yeah,
really good to know,
yeah, apply
actually.
now. Yeah, just let us know, hey, I'm supposed to get my, elementary education endorsement in June 2020, so we know, but let us know when you anticipate, because we don't know when you're supposed to graduate, because everybody have a different date when they're supposed to graduate.
Okay, that's so good to know, because I know our students start to get anxious as they
Yeah,
get towards graduation, and they think, okay, I have to graduate first, and
yeah,
then I'm gonna do all my interviews. So it's nice to know that they can do that prior to being certified, on their way to being certified. So that's good information to know. Anyway, keep going.
okay.
And then do you want to,
Good.
oh, do you have it on your paper?
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah, are you gonna go with the next question, or I can?
Oh,
just start me?
we have a few more tips for the resume.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. If you have more tips for the resume, go ahead.
Okay.
Well, if you want to talk about like their PLCs or curriculum.
Oh, okay. So on your resume, you can include any training or collaboration like your PLCs, and also include any experience with specific curriculum or behavior systems, or also positive behavior intervention and support, or read for reading. And also on your references, we are looking for like a field supervisor, some people call it mentor, or we call it cooperating teacher. So you can be a cooperating teacher and a principal where you are student teaching. So that's the three references that we are looking for, especially for new teachers or first year teachers. Also, make sure I also have somebody that will, proofread your resume, because it's always good to have a second eye, take a look at your resume. You don't want any mistake on your resume, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So having a second person to take a look at it, somebody you trust, will be, be great.
Yeah, that's good. And then, so what Oumar was talking about, that's some of the things that like principals would be looking for, right? So it's just a way to kind of hit areas when you're listing your curriculums, or if you've used Reach for Reading or the PBIS system, I know it's become more popular. So and even if it's not that one, if they have an idea of things you've had exposure to, that can be helpful as they're selecting a candidate for their school. And then we also recommend if people are if they've done any work through any organizations that involve kids, right? Maybe it's not necessarily educational. I mean, that's always a bonus. But if they work with students in some way, whether it's athletics or something through their church or a community organization, I think having a little section, for community service or those type of things can also be really helpful as principals are selecting a candidate for their building.
That's wonderful. That's very good advice, because we get those questions all the time of, well, does this count, or I'm not sure, would this be good to put on my resume? So it's great to hear that those types of activities would be looked at, and it's great to have on the resume.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's all right. That's all we have on that.
Okay. I was gonna say, do you want me to move to the next question? Okay. Okay, so we kind of have touched on this a little bit, but could you talk a little bit more about, are you looking for someone with any special credential and practical experience?
Yeah, so we did touch on that. We are, so elementary is, like Oumar mentioned, is the bulk of our hiring, because we have 16 elementary schools. So we are always looking for elementary teachers. And then of course there's the hard to fill, special needs or math, physics, sometimes science can be hard to fill. So, or even ELL, we're always looking to fill those positions as well. But I think, in general, I think the things we've talked about with, the collaboration and those type of things are really, open to feedback, being a real contributor to the conversation of, regarding students and professional development is what we're looking for.
Perfect, thank you.
Sorry, so we're gonna have openings in all endorsement, so we're gonna have a lot of openings, and people can start applying right away, to be honest. So you just have to go to our job posting page and create a profile, and you can apply for any position. And then we also have like pool position. If you don't see a position right now that you want to apply for, you can apply to the pool, and then usually we will go to our pools and grab applicants from there whenever we have a new position open. Yeah, or they can also fill out we have a certificate application that they can fill out. That's for only for certificated teachers.
Yeah, it's general. We call it a general application. That way, if somebody doesn't see a position, like I don't feel like I fit into this category, but I want to submit more information, it's just called general.
Yeah.
Like right now, we may have a need for a music teacher, but we don't really have a music pool. So if you were interested in teaching music in Clover Park, you could complete the general application. And we regularly review that pool too.
Okay, and so then once they apply in the general pool, then do you kind of take those applications and see, oh, okay, they would be a good fit here, and then kind of direct them to positions that would be a good fit for what their qualifications are? Is that kind of how that works?
Well, yeah. So right now, because we're kind of doing early hiring, is we are going through our pools and we're doing interviews, kind of for anticipated needs. Because we don't have like a music pool posted, if we like, hey, we need a music teacher, we would start going through all of our applications that we had submitted to find, see, did someone, interested in music apply?
But what I like about the general certificate is because you already have a profile with us, so it's easy for you to start applying because once you create a profile, you don't have to sit there and put all that information. So once a position comes open, you just click apply. It doesn't take you as long as if you were to create a profile. So
I see.
that's the benefit from it. Yeah. So instead of like taking 30 minutes to to create a new profile, once you already create one, probably take you less than 5 minutes to apply for a position.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's really nice.
Yeah, it's kind of get you ready and save time once, because the position can close at any time, right? So once you already, let's just say position is closing at 4 today, and then you already created a profile a while ago, it still be easier for you to like not stress out and just apply in a timely manner. So.
Got it. Well, thank you. Let's see. So the next question is, what open positions do you anticipate having this year? Any jobs or internships that would be noteworthy for students to know of?
So like I said, we anticipate openings in all endorsement, and especially in elementary education or elementary, and core subject at the core subject at the secondary level. And you can, like I said, you can submit application online for a specific area or complete a general application for certificate, basically. So almost definitely based on what we talked about just a few minutes ago. So,
okay.
Yeah, we do. It's usually, right now we are hiring, we can always anticipate core, right? So math, English, science, elementary ed, but we will have other positions, PE, music. Those are just harder to predict. So that's why we're always asking people to apply, so that when we know we have a need, then we can also, reach out to them as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see, the next one. Okay, so how does the district support beginning teachers?
So I really am always excited to talk about this because I think we have one of the best in the biz. We've always had a long history of supporting beginning educators in our district. So along with our own funding that we contribute to the program, we also receive a competitive grant from OSBI. So we're able to fund a really great first-year teacher mentor program. So all of our mentors are full release, and what that means is they're really great teachers that have been pulled from the classroom just to mentor teachers. So what that looks like is that they don't have a class, they mentor teachers, so they're assigned a caseload, and then they go out and they meet at least weekly with all of our first-year teachers. And our first-year teachers, you actually guide that conversation. So if you want to talk about classroom management or lesson planning or curriculum, whatever it is, they're there to talk to you about that. Also, our mentors are non-evaluative, so they can, if you want to try something new, or if you're like, hey, there's this kid and every day at 2, he just, he can't sit still, and, they can come in and observe, and then, then you guys can debrief that together and come up with solutions together. So
give you feedback.
Yeah, give you feedback. And so there's that piece. And then of course they're also available by phone or email, or they can even come out more, but that's like kind of the setup, the basic. And then we also have a summer orientation that prepares people for working in Clover Park. So we teach them about how to use the technology and our lesson planning, how our evaluation system works. And then in addition to that, we also have monthly professional development just for first-year teachers. Right now in our district, our first-year teachers can get paid for any PD that they go to. So if they want to, do anything after school or that are part of our institutes, we call them, they get paid for going to that training. And so, but then there's also specific PD just for them. And that's kind of nice because you could, potentially you could be like the only first-year teacher like in your building, right? So then now you get to come together at least once a month and kind of get together and talk about, the trials and triumphs of being a first-year teacher, with other first-year teachers. Yeah. So we just provide, and this actually overflows into the second year. So the first year is really intense, and then the second year it is more at the elbow, but you do still have that connection and have a mentor there available to you. So
If needed, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm sure that's very comforting for the first year educators to say, okay, I have a support system built in to kind of help me as I'm getting used to this new environment that I'm teaching in.
Yes, definitely.
You know how difficult it can be for
Yes,
teachers.
we do. And that's a part of just the whole collaborative piece is we really do, I think, expect a lot from our teachers. We want them, we know it can, being so diverse with all the different pieces with, students coming in and out of the district and just being so diverse. We want our teachers to really support our students, and so we really support our teachers because we want them to stay, we want them to come and stay.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Okay, so how do teachers and administrators work collaboratively to solve problems and respond to student needs?
Sure. So we've touched on this a little bit, I think, throughout our conversation, but we do use the PLC model. So, I think that's where it starts with grade level and core subject teams working together, looking at all the students' data and looking like, which kids do we need to focus on or what are you doing, and really coming together to make sure every student is achieving. And then there's other layers that go along with that, right? Principals, if the solutions aren't working, the principal is there as a resource, and then our teaching and learning department is there as a resource. And we have, I think we have 4 or 5 supervisors that are kind of divided up by subject level, right? So they can come in and really provide expertise, in that area. It's all about just drilling down and getting, to what's going to help that student. We have a great
department
assessment, and I can't remember the name, it's escaping, but it's basically, they keep track of all the numbers. So they're really good at providing data, some really good data that they can use at the PLC level and at the school level to help get all kids up to par. I think another way that we're working together is our district has embarked on what's called deep equity training. And so we started with our teachers and principals, and it will also move into our classified staff, but it's really about taking a deep look at ourselves and kind of how we view the world and how that impacts our students and how we're teaching them and how they're learning, and just really opening our mind to how we look at that. And so I think as a district, that's kind of how we're working together to make sure that each student at a whole nother level, not just like how are they doing with their data, but how are we seeing them as a person and as a student. So did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think you did great.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. That was a great answer. This is why I enjoy your school district so much. So this is great. So I think the last question that we had was, what are the prospects for future growth in this community and its schools? If you can kind of speak to maybe the economic stability of the community a little bit for students.
Yeah, I can start on this if you want to. So we have a lot of community support. We just passed a levy, during a kind of a time when school funding can be misunderstood, or so we passed a levy. We get a lot of support from our community. We passed recent levies, not just this year, but in the past. So we do get a lot of support. They pass bonds. We have a lot of new schools, and we continue to rebuild our schools that need repairs. So we do have a lot of support in that way. We also support JBLM, right? So there's kind of a constant job source, right? An employer, one of our biggest employers in the area. And I think just being a part of Pierce County, you know, not everybody that lives here works here. I mean, people come, you know, we're also
different places.
yeah, we're the metropolis, right? So, you know, people live here and their kids go here, but they may work in other places. And I think that's the same for our surrounding districts as well. So, you know, I'm not really sure else what to say about that topic specifically, but we do get a lot of community support through various organizations. We work closely with the city of Lakewood, you know, at the chamber, with a lot of community organizations that want to support students and teachers and education. So I see us as a staple, I guess.
Well, and so is there anything that I didn't ask today that I should have asked that you would like to share with students, or any final pieces of advice that would be helpful for them as they're, you know, approaching graduation or getting ready to get certified and start looking for jobs and internships? What would you like to share with them as kind of a final note?
I think as a final note, I just would like to say thanks again for doing this and being so creative with this. We're looking forward to doing this a lot more, I guess, with Zoom conferencing. But I think something I would like to share is that everybody's looking for the right fit, right? So I think that candidates should keep in mind that they're doing an interview too. I know it's always it's nervous. It can be nerve-wracking to come in and interview, but you're interviewing us too. And so just to look into the districts to find out what are their values, what are their board goals, you know, are they things that align that you want to do with education, because you're looking for a place where you can come in and really get to work. You don't want to, you know, I don't know, you just want to make sure it's a good fit.
And then also our goal is to make sure each student succeeds. So that's, you know, that's one of our main goals here at Clover Park School District.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just see the growth in our students and staff members as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and
yeah.
If they have any questions, they can also reach. If any question about employment related questions, they can reach Lori or myself, Oumar. You know, we'll be happy to answer whatever question they may have.
Mm-hmm.
So they will just have to go out, you know, employment website or Clover Park School District website, and then click on employment and get started with the process.
Yeah.
But like I said, whatever questions, we don't want people to feel stuck. You can always give us a call, and we'll be happy to answer whatever questions they may have. So to make it easier for our applicants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I know that would be comforting for them to be able to actually talk to somebody and field additional questions, maybe ones that we didn't cover today. So I'll be sure to attach your information to when we send these videos out to students, so they can contact you and ask any follow-up questions if they have any. But thank you again both for coming today and for answering questions for our students. I know that they're going to appreciate this so much.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Yeah, thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.